Good morning, everybody. This is Tony from Ministry to Children and from the Sunday School Store. And I've got with me Bethany Darwin, one of our top selling authors. And today we're just going to talk about keeping the gospel centered at Easter. And to kind of frame the conversation, I want to talk about this year as a turning point for churches and for children's ministry. And I just shared an email a few days ago saying, hey guys, this year Easter matters more than ever. So, Bethany, what do you think about that? Do you think this year Easter is super important or just normal important?
Well, I mean, I think it's super important every year and for that matter every day. But I do think in the life of the church, especially in America, this year is going to be huge. I feel like a lot of people are coming back to church that haven't been. A lot of churches are kind of restarting their programs. I know we've said that a couple of times when we thought it was going to happen, but I really think it's going to happen this time. And so, yeah, I think it's a good time for churches to kind of kick off and get things on the right, started on the right foot again. I know it's easy to just kind of like do whatever you've done in the past, but I think it's a good chance for churches to kind of mix things up and get started again fresh. So.
Well, after 2 years of pandemic, we were sharing a couple positive things that have happened. Just this week, I got to go to church without a mask, which was exciting for me because I don't like wearing a mask at church, but I totally support of the leadership and their policies. But I got to go without a mask, and it was great because you really can't smile properly without a mask. And smiling is such a big part of connecting with friends. So that felt good. But then you were sharing that Los Angeles County is lifting their mask mandate. So I mean, I'm in rural Indiana, and you're in big California. There's no such thing as rural there.
Yeah, well,
Um,
actually, there is. We found some really small country towns the other day, but yeah,
there you go.
for the most
So
part, it's not. It's big.
So the expectation is that churches are really going to make a comeback for Easter this year, or start their comeback rather. So I think that's going to be super important as kids and families come to your church, no matter what programs you have, whether you have an Easter egg hunt, whether you have a just a regular service or an Easter pageant or a cantata. That used to be the thing. Now that choirs are starting, I expect those. So with everybody coming back, or at least available to come back, um, how can we practically keep, we're going to talk about curriculum in a minute, but how can we practically keep Jesus the focus with so many fun kind of cultural things coming in? And I'm not going to say Easter bunnies are evil, and I'm not going to say chocolate is evil, and we're not going to be Pharisees about any of this, but we want churches to focus on what matters. So tell me some practical ways that you would suggest churches do this.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is looking for ways to make the gospel front and center in whatever you are doing. So, if you already have, something planned that's intended to reach out to the neighborhood, so Easter egg hunts, I think, often are big ways to reach the neighborhood. Make sure that there's a time when the kids are getting to sit down and hear the gospel story. Make sure something that you're giving away, maybe a booklet or coloring pages, or something that you're giving away is clear on the gospel. Have church members there ready to talk to other parents. Make sure that parents are prepared to know that like their job is to be preparing kids to hear the gospel at church. I mean, you mentioned Lent. I mean, there's so many great things you can do um, just in preparation, so that kids are prepared to hear the story. Because if you don't do any preparation before Easter Sunday itself, kids are going to come in and they'll be like, "What? Jesus died and he rose again? Okay, I've heard that before." But to get the backstory, to have the whole gospel presented in the lead up to Easter in Sunday school classes, at home, in events. Yeah, I think there's lots of ways we can be just really bold about proclaiming the gospel this year.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if anything, we should have learned that, children's ministry time is
So yeah, I think I see you dead.
okay. Feli entre ma pane. Live on Facebook and get company. So I think that with churches this year coming back, we know that ministry time is precious. We have not had, maybe we've took for granted that every Sunday we're going to share the gospel with kids. So this year is like, wow, we haven't seen some of these kids in 2 years, or we maybe saw some, last summer when things were better or worse, and now it's just been hard. So this is a chance to do it. Let me jump on a screen here, Bethany, and I want to show everybody. You were talking about, we're going to get to your curriculum in just a minute, but I want to talk about, well, how do I move this box? There it is. Something Bethany Darwin created that we don't talk about enough, but free printable M&M Easter poem. This sounds like something that this may have been one of the first things you sent to me.
I actually sent this to you as like hey, my church really loved this. Would you want to share it? And then you contacted me like a week later and said, hey, you want to write for us?
I was like, this is so great. This is so gospel.
We can it all.
Yeah, let's get Bethany on this team is kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, I remember talking to you because it was the middle of the night for me and it was early in the morning for you because you were in Dubai at the time. But yeah, so the sweet truth of Easter. And I will tell you this, Bethany, this has been downloaded millions of times, and it is Facebook.
I'm sorry.
Okay. My wife in her workout clothes had to crash the party because I've got company, but that happens. So this has been downloaded millions of times. So it's a resource that is been handed out. We talk about the Easter egg hunts, and what I love about this one is the 3-page one.
Yeah.
Here's the original one you printed, years ago, and it's basically how to print and put it on a little fun-sized bag of M&Ms. So if you do have an Easter egg hunt, this is a super simple way to make sure kids hear the sweet truth of Easter.
Yeah. That could probably be updated because it was a little bit sad.
Well, now that you're looking at this, you're like, okay, here's an update I made a few.
Better one, yeah.
That one's a little better. That's a half page because I wanted the full bag of M&Ms, and I said, you know what, I've got a small church. I'm not going to give away fun stuff. I'm going to give away the real M&Ms.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump over and let's talk about Easter curriculum because there's a couple things going on right now. As we get close to Easter, a couple of the curriculums you wrote were specifically to share Easter leading up to it. And then also we're going to talk about the Easter bundle we have going on. So I'm going to screen share here, Bethany. Maybe you just share some of what we got.
Yeah, so the green one that you see there, the work that Jesus has done, that focuses on Jesus' work on the cross. And it is, it's 6 lessons that basically go through the theology of the cross. Like, why did Jesus die? What did he accomplish when he died? So that's one that you could do in the lead up to Easter and after Easter. It does include a lesson on the resurrection as well. So it's not only the cross, but it's also the resurrection. Why Easter looks at mainly the week leading up to the cross and just kind of looks at who Jesus is, what he did. So, I mean, these are very similar, but they're different stories. So why Easter is more like, why did he have to die? What did he accomplish when he died? Whereas the work that Jesus has done focuses more on the substitutionary work of Jesus on the cross, if that makes sense. Sing and Play Easter is a preschool curriculum designed for toddlers and preschoolers, simple stories and songs and activities. It's 8 lessons that could easily be done in 8 weeks leading up to Easter, which we're already past the 8-week mark now. Or it could be, shared with families to do at home. It actually has a 40-day Lent calendar in it for 40-day countdown leading up to Easter, doing 1 activity a day. And I would say it could go up through kindergarten as far as the level of kids that would enjoy it. God's Rescue Plan looks at what happened after Easter. So the birth of the church. So we're looking at the Great Commission and then the first couple of chapters of Acts. Again, that's just elementary age, focusing on, so what, Jesus died and rose again. What happened next? What was the next? Where are we in the story? We're in the what happened next section. The first Easter is a booklet that you can share with your families. There's a color version and a black and white version. So it's like coloring pages and like simple reading stories. So families could do that together in the lead up to Easter. Ho, 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 Hosanna is a Palm Sunday lesson. And then I think the next one is a sample lesson.
Yeah.
The I am. The I am is 6 weeks on the I am statements of Jesus. So maybe you've taught the cross during the Easter season, and then after Easter, you're like, wait, we really need to focus on who was Jesus, who is Jesus, and that he isn't. It's not that we just, sometimes curriculums tend to jump in and be like, okay, he was born as a baby and he did this miracle and then he died on the cross and rose again. But the I am statements are Jesus himself saying who he is. I'm the bread of life. I'm the light of the world. And all of those, again, keep pointing to the cross, because that was how Jesus was telling his disciples who he was and what he came to do. And then you also have the coloring pages on here. So how many? There's a bunch in there. 17. Yeah. I was looking at those the other day for my son, actually. So there's a lot of great.
I think I've added some more. There may be like 21 now. I just didn't want to update my graphics. So I said, nobody's going to be disappointed if they just get a few extra.
They get more.
So I sent that update. Yeah. And this is obviously, free things are the easiest to sell.
Yeah.
There's a little business tip for anyone out there, but this has been super. I mean, all of the free downloads on our website, just get hundreds of people downloading those every week. And then more and more churches are using the paid curriculum too, which is exciting to see. Gospel-centered resources are getting out there, which is what our goal is. I mean, everything we do here, we have really a simple plan. We want you to engage kids, keep their attention, get them into the Bible, open God's word, and then connect them with the gospel, connect them with Jesus Christ. That's our plan, and we do it all as affordable as possible, flexible as possible. Any size church can use this material, and that's our mission. We want to serve the smallest churches out there who don't have $600 or $800 or $1,000 to use. There's lots of great curriculum. There's Gospel Project, there's Orange curriculum, there's Go curriculum. There's so many great ones out there, but we're trying to serve churches that don't have that kind of money. We want to serve churches who are trying. Small churches make a big impact in God's kingdom. That's no secret. It's always been the case. It always will be the case. And so we're here for churches like that. Let's talk then about.
Before the bundle, when you were talking about like practical ways,
yes.
I mean, all these curriculums have free downloads. Or I'm looking at the coloring pages. I'm looking at the first Easter activity book. I mean, these are things that you can buy, you can make copies of, you can hand them out to your church. I mean, these would be great gifts to give in the community as a way to like invite people to an Easter program, or walk through the Easter program with them. And the first Easter, I didn't talk about this in the book itself, but in a lot of ways, these stories follow. I don't know if you've ever used like the resurrection eggs. That's a great way to tell the story in a really child-friendly, familiar way. With one little emblem inside each egg. I know one church I worked at years ago, we actually made like giant resurrection eggs. Like we made balloons and paper mache or whatever, and put big things in them, and just use anything you can use to make it visual for kids, and connect it to what they already know. So if the world is saying that Easter is about eggs, well, let's figure out a way we can use this egg time to focus on new life in Christ, and to focus on Christ's resurrection, and things like that. So yeah, just ways to make those connections is the key, I think, at this time of year.
Absolutely. And I think there's it's not just this time of year. We were talking beforehand. I mean, the gospel, the good news about Jesus' death and resurrection, Christians should be talking about this all year long.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're in a liturgical church, you do have gospel readings all year long. So you're always going through the gospel story 3 and 4 times a year. And I think most evangelical churches too, you want to make sure that you're hearing. This is the central point of the Bible.
Right.
And wherever you're at in the Bible, it comes back to Jesus and his sacrifice and the resurrection. We call it Easter because we're not Pharisees, but Easter is really not the right word for it. We're really celebrating Resurrection Sunday.
Right.
That being said, let's talk about the bundle. Because what I asked you to do this year, Bethany, I said, we have so much great material on Easter. Let's just give everybody everything and put it in a great price. So
all there for you.
it's just there for you. So if you're looking back here and you're like, oh, I can't choose, I want this and this and this, but my budget's not big enough. Well, we just put them all together for you. And so the Easter basket bundle this year, I'm going to screen share just a second to show you more of what's inside of it. But you get let's see. Yeah, you get all of the Easter lessons plus several more, fruit of the Spirit. Lots of wonderful stuff. And I love your graphic here, Bethany, where you're saying,
You notice
right.
The bundle is significantly bigger and higher than the chocolate bunny, right? That was the point. It's a better deal than this little chocolate bunny.
I like her dress though. I mean, I like that style. That's really classic too. So I just felt like she goes to my church when I saw that. But all right, so let's look in here, because when you buy this, you get you get it all as a zip file, but you also get access to a Dropbox file. And if you have difficulty finding that, you can email me and I'll just send it to you as well once you make the purchase. But the Dropbox file is just a really easy way. If you guys aren't familiar with Dropbox, it's an online file sharing thing. So instead of like saving everything on a thumb drive, you just save it on the internet and you can get to it wherever you're at. And you can also share it with your team a lot easier than a thumb drive. So we always back our curriculum up on Dropbox. So if somebody emails me and they're having a problem with the file, I'm like, here, just go get it here on the internet. It's easy. So this is everything you get in the Easter bundle. You get the Why Easter curriculum, you get the Hosanna lesson, you get the Back to Basics, why the church matters.
Yeah, why churches do what they do. What is prayer? What is worship? So the things that we do in the church and why we do them.
God's rescue plan, which is about the birth of the church. So this is like the most obvious thing to follow up Easter and Pentecost. Fruit of the Spirit, you can use that any time of year. Right now, it's super popular because people love to do it during the springtime. I don't blame them. It's a good theme. The love of God, which is kind of an acronym about God's love for us and what Jesus did on the cross. So that a lot of churches use that for Valentine's Day, but it can be used obviously anytime. It's nothing about chocolate hearts, I promise. What really matters is from a passage in Paul. What is this? This is the walk. The walk is all about following up with younger children and helping them, encouraging them, growing in their faith. You get the sing and play.
Yeah, and my thought with the walk is, post Easter, a lot of kids may be responding to the gospel message, and it's a good time to then follow up with that and talk about what it means to be a Christian, especially when they see what's happening, as the church is being born, as the church is growing together. Well, what does that mean for me? How can I walk with Christ? How can I follow God? So that was kind of my thought putting that one in there.
Yeah, and that's a real simple series that we've updated over the years, and we've tried to make it valuable for people. And it's really very popular. People love it because it is so simple, but at the same time, it's things that people need. Kids need to know these things. We think that about everything, of course. That's why we're putting it on the internet. But sing and play. Here's something we haven't talked about, and this is excerpts from the Bible series. Now, the Bible series is I call it like the cruise liner of curriculum. I mean, this thing has got, in 52 weeks, you go through every book of the Bible in depth, theologically sound, tied back to Jesus every step of the way. But the Gospels so what you've done is you've taken your
lessons on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah, so you've taken those. Maybe you share about this because this is not available in any other format unless you buy the complete thing. So this is kind of a
So usually the Bible series is in 4 units, so you'd have to buy like a 12-unit pack, 12 or 13-unit pack, or the full year. But what I did is I just pulled out 4 lessons. So the lessons on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. thinking, as we're at the Easter season, it's a great time to talk about the life of Christ. So these 4 lessons look at the specifics of how Jesus is presented in the 4 Gospels. So we see the different attributes of who Jesus is. We see, and for each lesson, you have you have a memory verse, you have a key point about the book. You have a poster that you can use that displays about the book with the main verse. And you have in the lesson, there's a discussion about the book. There's some follow-up activities. And then, like Tony said, there's a part of the lesson that points to the cross. So you can always see even from the lessons on Genesis, for each book, you can see how it points to the gospel. So yeah, this is just an excerpt from Unit 3, which Unit 3 is actually Micah through Philippians, I think. So I just pulled out the 4 gospel lessons for you.
That's fabulous.
Which would be good at Easter or Christmas or any time of the year, really.
Yeah, so we call this the Easter bundle because it's for Easter time and we've got the Easter curriculum in there, but all of this curriculum can be taught year round. You may not teach Palm Sunday year round, but that's okay. It comes at least once a year, right? Other than that, well, of course, yeah, it does come around. Let me stop my screen share for just a minute here.
Yeah, I think, while Tony's looking there, I think one really important thing we can think about is ways that we can equip parents during this time. So especially if some schools are still not meeting 100% in person, kids are at home a lot more. Parents are always looking for resources. I know I only have a 2-year-old, but I'm constantly looking now for things to do to keep him occupied.
Yeah.
So I can see how important it is. Hey, just a minute. Come here. Come say hi. I can see how important it is to have those resources available. And so yeah, just looking for ways that you can equip parents. All the curriculum that I write also includes like a take-home page. So families have guides for family worship. They have tools they can use. So yeah, there's a lot we can do to prepare families during this time as well. Do you want to say hi?
Well, absolutely. And Bethany, thank you so much for sharing your passion for the gospel and putting that out there for churches. And I know you worked for many, many years developing your curriculum and your teaching skills. And now I feel like you're blessing so many churches by sharing that. And for churches watching, I just want to encourage you, let's not waste this Easter. Let's not waste any Sunday, but this Easter especially, you're gonna have visitors. Remember what that feels like. Get excited about that. Visitors, new faces that you can love and reach out to and point them to Christ. New families who are going to be coming to your events if you're doing events, or just every Easter Sunday itself is an event. So,
on that note, there's an article on Ministry of Children. I think it's called "Teach It Again for the First Time," maybe,
Okay.
where I talked about teaching the Easter message and assuming that all the kids in my class knew it, and seeing a kid start to well up in tears as I talked about Jesus being beaten because he hadn't heard it before. So remembering that even if it's not visitors, even if it's our church kids, there's going to be somebody in the room that hasn't heard it before. And we can't just assume the gospel. We have to focus on who Jesus is, what he did, and why he did it. Yeah, hear it again for the first time. Yeah, I was like, I couldn't remember if it was hear or teach, but yeah. So I think reminding ourselves of the first time we heard the gospel, and then thinking about the kids that are hearing it for the first time should really compel us to share it boldly.
Absolutely. And thank you for reminding me that, the problem with Ministry to Children.
Well, that article is 7 years old, man.
Now, I don't remember. So it's over 4,000. We're getting close to 5,000 pages of activities and ideas. So I will forget a lot of what's on there if I don't search for it myself. So I'm gonna post that into the Facebook link and let's go ahead and hop off here. Thanks everybody for watching, and I appreciate it. And we're just praying for you guys that you have a blessed Easter and you are personally refreshed as you head into it. And God will open doors for you. So thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Thanks.
Stop the live stream, stop